The alien delegation sat in a semicircle around the four humans, every eye fixed on them with intense curiosity. The monitoring station had been transformed into an impromptu conference room. Displays showing recorded footage of the exercise. Sensor logs scrolling past, showing nothing but empty terrain where humans had been hiding. Zekthar spoke first, his voice carrying a tone that Morrison recognized as carefully controlled frustration. "Colonel, I have commanded military forces for 30 years. I have trained soldiers from 17 different species. I have never encountered anything like what I witnessed today. Our sensors swept over your positions hundreds of times," Bright Shining added, his crystalline form pulsing with agitated colors. "Thermal imaging, motion detection, electromagnetic scanning, gravitational sensors, even quantum signature analysis. All found nothing." Striker Fast leaned forward, mandibles clicking rapidly. "Our technology can detect the heartbeat through 3 meters of solid stone, can track body heat through thermal shielding, can find targets in complete darkness. Yet 4 humans lying in grass and rocks and trees defeated everything." Morrison nodded slowly. "Commander, you asked how Earth taught us. May I ask you a question first?" "Proceed," Zekthar replied. "How did your species evolve? What were the predators on your homeworld?" Zekthar seemed puzzled by the question, but answered. "The Vryn evolved on a high-gravity world with few large predators. We were the dominant species through size and strength. Our greatest challenges were environmental: storms, volcanic activity, resource scarcity. And the rest of you?" Morrison looked at each alien representative. Bright Shining responded. "The Lumari are silicon-based life. We evolved in crystalline caves. We had no predators. Our challenges were geological. The Kresh dominated our world through numbers and hive cooperation," Striker Fast said. "We overwhelmed any threat through coordinated swarm tactics." The Thalmari representative spoke in bubbling tones through his translator. "We evolved in deep oceans where size determined survival. The largest of our kind had no natural enemies. The Skyla ruled the skies," the avian added. "We escaped ground predators through flight. We were never prey." Morrison stood and walked to the display screen showing Earth profile data. "Then let me tell you about Earth." He pulled up images of Earth's surface, jungles, savannas, forests, mountains. Earth is classified as a Class 7 death world. The rating does not fully capture what that means. Earth tried to kill humanity every single day for millions of years. Lisa stood to join him. "Our ancestors were not the biggest, not the fastest, not the strongest. We were prey, hunted by creatures that could crush us, outrun us, tear us apart. Humans survived through intelligence," Danny added. "Standing as well, but intelligence takes time to develop. For millions of years we needed something else, the ability to not be seen." Kate was the last to stand. "Every human alive today is descended from ancestors who mastered the art of hiding. Because the ones who couldn't hide died, they got eaten, killed, removed from the gene pool." Morrison gestured to the screen. "Natural selection is brutal. Earth killed the slow, the weak, the visible. What remained were humans who could think, adapt, and vanish when necessary." Zekthar listened intently. "But vanishing from predators is different from defeating military sensors, is it?" Lisa asked. "A predator's senses are often more acute than any technology. A tiger can smell prey from kilometers away, can hear a heartbeat in the dark, can detect the slightest movement. Early humans had to defeat those senses to survive. We learned to mask our scent," Danny explained, "to control our breathing, to move only when environmental sounds covered our noise, to position ourselves where shadows and natural features broke up our outline. We learned patience," Kate continued, "because sometimes hiding meant staying absolutely still for hours, not moving, barely breathing, waiting for danger to pass. And we learned to think like our environment, Morrison finished. To understand what a predator sees when it looks at rocks, trees, grass, water. We learned to become those things. Bright Shining's colors shifted to a thoughtful blue. You are saying that your camouflage is not technology but instinct? Both, Lisa replied. The instinct to hide is ancient. But humans formalized it, studied it, turned it into training that builds on millions of years of evolution. Morrison pulled up footage from the exercise, showing the moment when he had simply stood up from the grass. Watch this carefully. I am not using any technology. No power source, no active systems. I am just a human lying in grass. The footage played, showing Morrison's position from multiple angles. The aliens leaned forward, studying the image. I do not see you, Striker Fast admitted. I see grass shadows the stream bank. But no human form. Exactly, Morrison said. Because I shaped myself to match what your eyes and sensors expect to see in that environment. I became part of the background data that your systems are programmed to ignore. He changed the image to show Lisa behind her log. Sergeant Hayes is visible in this image, but your brain does not register her as human. You see a log, some leaves, forest debris. Your pattern recognition dismisses her as environmental clutter. Another image showed Danny in his rock crevice. Corporal Chun has positioned himself to follow the natural lines of the stone, the shadows, the color variations. Your visual processing sees rocks because that is what the pattern tells you to see. The final image showed Kate in her tree. Scout Williams understood that trees are visual chaos, overlapping branches, leaves, shadows. Patterns that organic brains and AI systems classify as vegetation. She placed herself where that chaos was strongest and became part of it. Zekthar stood and walked to the screen, studying each image carefully. Your thermal signatures, he said. Our sensors detected nothing. Thermal sensors look for heat sources that stand out from their environment, Lisa explained. I was lying against a log that had been warming in the sun. My body temperature was slightly lower than the log's surface temperature from the shade. The sensor registered me as part of the log. I was in shadows between cool rocks. Danny added, my skin temperature matched the stone. No thermal variance to detect. I was in a tree canopy with varying temperatures from sun and shade, Kate said. My heat signature was just one more variation in a chaotic thermal environment. And I positioned myself where the stream and sun-warmed grass created thermal variations, Morrison finished. My signature was lost in the environmental noise. The Thalmari representative spoke, his voice showing amazement. You defeated our sensors not by hiding from them, but by making them classify you as not worth detecting? Yes, Morrison confirmed. Sensors are designed to filter out background noise. To focus on anomalies, we simply ensured we were not anomalous. We were normal, expected. Environmental. Striker Fast stood abruptly. Impossible. Our sensors are calibrated to detect biological signatures, heartbeats, breathing, electromagnetic activity from neural systems, all of which we minimized, Lisa replied calmly. Heartbeats slowed through controlled breathing. Respiration reduced to minimal oxygen consumption. We positioned our bodies to disperse our bioelectric signature. This is insane, Bright Shining said. But his tone held respect rather than disbelief. You are telling me that biology and training can defeat technology designed to track military targets across star systems? Only in the right environment, Morrison admitted. In open space or artificial structures, our camouflage would be far less effective. But in natural terrain, Earth taught us to become invisible. Zekthar returned to his seat, his massive form settling heavily. Let me ensure I understand correctly, he said slowly. Humans possess no special biological cloaking ability. No exotic organs, no technological advantage? Correct, Morrison confirmed. You defeated our sensor systems using only training. Understanding of your environment and techniques developed from evolutionary survival instincts? Yes, Commander. And any human can learn these techniques? Morrison smiled. With training, yes. Every human child on Earth plays hiding games that teach the basic principles. Military training refines those principles into something more effective. The aliens sat in silence, processing this information. Finally, Striker Fast spoke. On my world, we have a saying, the most dangerous predator is the one you never see coming. Earth has the same saying, Morrison replied. In a dozen different languages, humanity learned it the hard way. By being prey that learned to hunt. Zekthar looked at each of his fellow aliens. Reading their expressions, I believe, he said carefully, that the Galactic Council has severely underestimated humanity's potential contribution to combined defense operations. The discussion continued for another hour. The aliens asking detailed questions about human camouflage techniques, while Morrison and his team provided careful explanations. Zekthar pulled up historical combat footage from galactic conflicts, showing how various species use technology-based stealth systems. Every species in the Galactic Defense Initiative relies on active camouflage systems, he explained. Personal shield generators, light-bending technology, thermal dampeners, all requiring power sources and maintenance, and all detectable if you know what to look for, Morrison observed. Technology always leaves signatures. Power emissions, electromagnetic fields, quantum disturbances. Your camouflage requires no power, Bright Shining said thoughtfully, which means there is nothing to detect, no emissions to track. Exactly, Lisa confirmed. We use what already exists in the environment. We do not add anything artificial that sensors could identify. Striker Fast stood and began pacing, his blade-like arms gesturing as he spoke. In galactic warfare, stealth units are rare and expensive. They require specialized equipment, constant technical support, limited operational duration based on power supply. Humans could operate indefinitely, Danny pointed out. As long as the terrain provides natural concealment, we need no resupply, no power source, no technical maintenance. The implications settled over the group like a heavy weight. Kate spoke up, her voice quiet but clear. Commander, may I ask a question about galactic military doctrine? Proceed, Scout Williams, Zekthar replied. How do your forces typically conduct reconnaissance in hostile territory? Zekthar considered the question. Standard procedure involves deploying drones with advanced sensors, orbital surveillance when available, occasionally stealth-equipped scouts in powered armor. All technological solutions, Kate observed. All detectable by an enemy with the right equipment? Yes, Zekthar admitted. But galactic conflicts are primarily between technological civilizations. Counter-surveillance technology is expected. What happens when the enemy cannot detect your scouts because they are not using technology? Kate asked. The question hung in the air. Morrison stood and walked to the tactical display. Let me propose a scenario, Commander. Imagine a contested planet where orbital surveillance is denied by atmospheric conditions, where conventional sensors are jammed by enemy countermeasures, where powered armor shows up on every detection grid. He pulled up a terrain map. Now imagine you need intelligence on enemy positions, troop movements, supply lines. How do you gather that information? We would deploy ground reconnaissance units, Zekthar replied, accepting that they would likely be detected and engaged. The intelligence is worth the risk. Or, Lisa interjected, you send humans who walk into enemy territory, hide in plain sight, observe everything, and return without ever being detected. We become eyes that the enemy cannot see, Danny added. Ears they cannot hear, shadows they cannot track. The Thalmari representative bubbled thoughtfully. This changes fundamental assumptions about battlefield intelligence gathering. It changes more than that, Bright Shining said, his crystalline form pulsing with rapid color changes, indicating intense thought. If human scouts cannot be detected, then enemy forces never know they are being observed. They never adjust their behavior, never increase security, never know their secrets have been compromised. Morrison nodded. In Earth's military history, some of the most devastating defeats came not from superior firepower, but from superior information. Armies that knew their enemies' plans could counter them. Forces that moved unseen could strike when and where the enemy was weakest. Zekthar pulled up galactic conflict statistics. Our military doctrine assumes that reconnaissance will be detected. That intelligence gathering is a trade-off between information gained and units lost. We plan for those losses. You would not need to, Kate said simply. Human scouts could gather intelligence with minimal risk because the enemy would not know they were there. Striker Fast stopped pacing. This is unprecedented in 30,000 years of recorded galactic warfare. No species has operated this way because no species evolved the biological and mental adaptations necessary for natural camouflage. Earth is unique in the galaxy? Lisa asked. No, Bright Shining replied. There are other Class 7 death worlds, but their dominant species either never developed intelligence or developed it along with size, strength, or natural weapons. Humanity is unusual in being intelligent but physically unremarkable. Being unremarkable was our survival strategy, Morrison explained. We could not win through strength, so we won through stealth, patience, and outsmarting our predators. The aliens processed this information. Their various biology showing thought in different ways. Zekthar's scales shifting colors. Bright Shining's internal light patterns changing. Striker Fast's antennae twitching. Finally, the Skylar representative spoke, his voice carrying a note of concern. Commander Zekthar, I must raise a difficult question. Speak freely, Zekthar encouraged. If humans can move undetected through any natural terrain, if they can observe without being seen, gather intelligence without risk, and potentially strike from concealment, the Skylar paused. What prevents them from being a threat rather than an ally? The question created immediate tension in the room. Morrison met the Skylar's gaze directly. A fair question. One that humans would ask about any species with unique capabilities. The answer is the same as for any alliance, Lisa added. Mutual benefit, shared values, trust built through cooperation, but also transparency, Danny said. We are explaining our capabilities openly, not hiding what we can do. You are learning our techniques because we choose to share them. Kate stood beside her colonel. Earth seeks partnership with the Galactic Council, not dominance. We have seen what happens when species focus on conquest rather than cooperation. It does not end well. Zekthar raised one hand for silence. The Skylar raises a valid concern that the Council will certainly discuss. However, I note that humanity could have kept these abilities secret, could have entered galactic politics without revealing their natural camouflage skills. Instead, they demonstrated them openly during a formal assessment. That suggests, Bright Shining added, that humans value honesty in their partnerships. They want us to know what they can do so we can decide how to work together. Morrison addressed the Skylar directly. Your concern is understandable. I will answer it with Earth's own history. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. Wars that used every capability we possessed, including stealth, infiltration, and deception. We learned, he continued, that technology can be countered with technology. Strength can be matched with strength, but trust must be built through actions. Through choosing cooperation, even when conflict is possible. Earth has chosen cooperation, Lisa stated firmly. We are here to offer our capabilities to the Galactic Defense Initiative, not to threaten anyone. The Thalmari representative spoke. I believe humans are sincere, but I also believe the Council will want safeguards. Ways to ensure that human forces operate within agreed protocols. Reasonable, Morrison agreed. Earth would expect the same from any allied species with unique capabilities. We can discuss protocols, limitations, joint command structures. Whatever builds confidence in our partnership. Zekthar stood, his massive form commanding attention. This discussion has been enlightening, but I believe we must now report to the Galactic Council. They need to understand what we have witnessed today. He looked at Morrison with an expression that might have been respect. Colonel, your assessment results will be very different from what I expected when you arrived. I initially planned to recommend humans for support roles. Now I believe that recommendation would be dangerously inadequate. What will you recommend instead, Commander? Morrison asked. Zekthar was silent for a moment, considering. I will recommend that the Council recognize humanity as a strategic asset unlike any other in the galaxy. I will propose that human forces be integrated into reconnaissance operations. That training programs be established to teach galactic forces from human instructors. And that protocols be developed for joint operations that leverage human capabilities appropriately. And I will recommend, he added, that the Council never make the mistake of underestimating Earth again. What appears primitive may be sophisticated. What appears weak may be patiently waiting for the right moment to show its strength. Morrison extended his hand once more. Thank you, Commander. Earth looks forward to working with the Galactic Council. Zekthar gripped the offered hand, this time without hesitation. Thank you, Colonel, for teaching me that some of the most important lessons come from unexpected teachers. 3 weeks later, the Galactic Council convened in the Grand Chamber on Centauri Prime. Representatives from 47 member species filled the vast space. Holographic displays showing each delegate clearly. Zekthar stood at the central podium, his presentation materials ready. Beside him were bright-shining Strikerfast. And the other assessment team members, Colonel Morrison and his team, watched from the observers' gallery. Their presence a reminder of why this emergency session had been called. The council speaker, an elderly Vrin named Corthan, called the assembly to order. Commander Zekthar, you have requested this session to present revised assessment, findings regarding the species known as humans from the planet Earth. The council recognizes you. Zekthar activated his display, showing Earth's profile data. Honored council members. 3 weeks ago, I conducted what I believed would be a routine military assessment of humanity's potential contribution to galactic defense forces. My initial findings suggested humans were adequate but unremarkable, physically competent but offering no significant advantage over existing species. He paused. Letting that sink in, I was wrong. Not partially wrong, but fundamentally and dangerously wrong. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Zekthar continued. I was wrong because I evaluated humans using standard protocols designed for species that evolved on normal worlds. Earth is not a normal world. Class 7 Death World classification does not adequately describe what that planet did to shape humanity. He pulled up footage from the camouflage exercise. What you are about to see represents a paradigm shift in how we understand stealth operations, reconnaissance capabilities, and the fundamental assumptions underlying galactic military doctrine. The footage played, showing the monitoring station displays as human signatures has simply vanished. Then it showed the hours of searching, the deployment of advanced sensors, the confusion and growing alarm. Finally, it showed Morrison standing up from grass where he had been invisible 20 meters from the search party. The council chamber erupted in shocked conversation. Corthan called for order. Commander, explain what we just witnessed. Zekthar spent the next hour presenting detailed analysis. Sensor log showing nothing. testimony from multiple species, confirming the humans had defeated every detection system. He explained the evolutionary background, the millions of years of natural selection that created humans who could hide instinctively. He described the training methods that refined those instincts into military capabilities. He outlined the implications for reconnaissance operations, intelligence gathering, and special operations. When he finished, the chamber was silent. A Lamari counselor was first to speak. "Commander Zekthar, you are suggesting that these humans can infiltrate any natural terrain without detection, observe enemy forces without being seen, and gather intelligence with minimal risk?" "That is exactly what I am suggesting, Counselor," Zekthar confirmed. "And I am not merely suggesting it based on theory. I have witnessed it personally. My sensor equipment recorded it, or rather, failed to record it." A Kresh military advisor stood. "This capability could revolutionize reconnaissance operations. We lose significant forces to enemy counter-detection systems. If human scouts truly cannot be detected, they cannot," Striker Fast interrupted. Standing beside Zekthar, I participated in the search. I stood meters from hidden humans and saw nothing. Our most advanced technology found nothing. They simply do not exist to our sensors when they choose to hide. Bright Shining added his testimony. The humans explained their techniques openly. They shared their knowledge freely. This suggests they seek true partnership, not exploitation of their unique abilities. A Thalmari counselor raised a concern. What prevents humans from using these abilities against council member species? How do we ensure this capability is used for mutual defense and not espionage or sabotage? Morrison had been expecting this question. Zekthar gestured for him to approach the podium. "Colonel Morrison, please address the Council's concerns." Morrison stepped forward. 4 dozen alien species watching him with varying degrees of curiosity and apprehension. "Honored Council members, I am Colonel Jake Morrison of Earth. I command the team that participated in the assessment trials. I understand your concerns, because Earth would have the same concerns about any species with unique capabilities." He activated a datapad. "Earth proposes the following protocols. First, all human reconnaissance personnel serving in galactic operations will be embedded in mixed species, units with clear command structures and mission parameters. No human units will operate independently without Council oversight. Second," he continued, "Earth will establish training facilities where we teach our camouflage techniques to interested species. We believe that while biology gives humans advantages, many of our methods can be learned by others with proper instruction. Third, Earth commits to transparency in our military deployments. Council intelligence services will have full access to human personnel records, deployment schedules, and operational reports. Fourth, we propose joint development of protocols specifically for human reconnaissance operations, including rules of engagement, intelligence sharing requirements, and oversight mechanisms." A Skylar counselor spoke. "These are significant concessions, Colonel. Why is Earth willing to limit its own capabilities so strictly?" Morrison smiled. "Because Earth learned through painful history that trust is more valuable than advantage. We could keep our abilities secret, operate without oversight, exploit the fact that you cannot detect us. But that path leads to isolation, suspicion, and eventual conflict," he said firmly. "Earth chose to join the Galactic Council because we believe cooperation benefits everyone. We will not compromise that by operating in shadows. We will work in the light, following agreed rules, contributing to shared defense." Lisa stood and joined Morrison at the podium. "The Council should also understand that human camouflage is not magic. It has limitations. We are most effective in natural terrain. In artificial environments like space stations or cities, our advantages diminish significantly," Danny added. "We require time to study terrain, to understand the environment. Rushed operations reduce our effectiveness. We are patient hunters, not rapid assault forces. Cake finished. And we are still human, still mortal, still vulnerable. A detected human scout can be killed as easily as any other soldier. We simply work very hard to not be detected. Corthan considered their words carefully. The Council appreciates Earth's transparency and proposed protocols. However, this decision affects galactic defense strategy. We must deliberate carefully. The Council debated for 6 hours. Arguments ranged from enthusiastic support to cautious skepticism. Military advisors wanted immediate integration of human reconnaissance capabilities. Political counselors worried about precedent and oversight. Scientific representatives wanted to study human evolution and camouflage techniques. Finally, Corthan called for a vote. The question before the Council: shall humanity be accepted as full members of the Galactic Defense Initiative with the proposed protocols and oversight mechanisms? The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. 39 species voted in favor, 8 abstained, none voted against. Corthan announced the results. By authority of this council, humanity is hereby accepted as full partners in galactic defense. Earth forces will be integrated according to the protocols proposed by Colonel Morrison. Training facilities will be established, and joint operational commands will be created. He paused, looking directly at Morrison. Welcome to the Galactic Defense Initiative, Colonel. May our partnership prove beneficial to all member species. Morrison stood at attention. On behalf of Earth and humanity, we accept this responsibility with gratitude and commitment to our shared security. The council session ended, but the work was just beginning. Within days, requests poured in from 17 different species wanting to send soldiers to human-run training programs. Earth established its first off-world facility on Viridian 7, the same planet where the assessment had taken place. The facility became known as the Shadow Academy, where alien soldiers came to learn what Earth had spent millions of years teaching humanity: how to hide, how to wait, how to become invisible. Zekthar visited the academy during its 3rd month of operation, watching a class of mixed-species recruits attempting to conceal themselves in forest terrain. Most failed spectacularly. Avrin's massive bulk and heat signature made hiding difficult. Olamari's crystalline form reflected light even in shadow. Akresh's chitinous armor created distinctive acoustic signatures. But some learned, adapting human techniques to their own biology, finding ways to minimize their detectability. Morrison walked with Zekthar through the training area. Not all species can master natural camouflage, Commander. Biology creates limitations, but even partial success is valuable, Zekthar replied. Understanding human methods helps our forces counter similar techniques if used by enemies. And those who can learn will become more effective scouts. They stopped at an observation point overlooking a training exercise. I must confess something, Colonel, Zekthar said quietly. When Earth first applied to join the Galactic Council, I reviewed your species profile and dismissed you as insignificant, another Death World species with more